Hey podcasters, welcome to the Shaun Herr show, where we learn how to break the slimming cycle by mastering your mind, meals and movement, helping you finally achieve a balanced lifestyle and long-lasting results. Today I'm talking with Martin Bone, a meditation teacher here in Liverpool. And what I love about Martin is that he's not your stereotypical meditation teacher. He's not going around in floaty robes looking and sounding so chilled out he's going to fall over whilst worshipping the sun god and Mother Earth. He's just a normal guy who meditates. He goes out with his mates for a beer to watch the football, he takes his little girl out for pizza and runs a successful business. And for me, that's one of the most important things I want to try and get across to you. That meditation and yoga and all those kinds of things that would fall into the spiritual category aren't reserved for vegans and people who believe in crystals. They're just things that are good for you, that you should do, no matter who you are. But anyway, enough about my opinions. Let's find out about the awesome stuff Martin does, like his meditation retreat for men and the great way he starts his day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, we had a technological nightmare while we were recording this. Cameras switched off, memory cards filled up, mics stopped working. If it could go wrong, it probably did. But I've managed to patch it together. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, there's a bit where the picture cuts out, so don't worry, it hasn't stopped loading or anything. And the sound goes a bit crap towards the end, but hopefully it's still clear enough however you're listening. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Martin Bone, welcome to the podcast.
Shaun, thank you.
Right, so as we just said before, the way we always start the podcast is I already know a little bit about what you do, all those kinds of things, who you are. Everybody else listening, watching, doesn't. So let everyone know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm a director of Planet Yoga Liverpool. It's a yoga studio here on Smithdown Road. We've been established for 7 years, so I've been a massive part of this life, for the last 7 years of my life, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm also now become a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher, so I teach here at Planet Yoga a few times a week, and that's also took me on a journey of teaching meditation. I'm teaching meditation now in Liverpool, and that's probably become my main line of work. I'm also involved in an incredible establishment called Men Without Masks, where I am one of the main facilitators on that retreat, where we basically take men on a journey over a period of time, over 5 days. We have many different experiences, and it's a journey of education, inspiration, motivation, direct experience. And to really allow men to feel into themselves and, build character, and take a look at maybe some of the ways they've behaved, in the past. So stuff like that. So there's a lot in there. I think what I really love to do is just get behind people, whether that's a yoga session here at Planet Yoga or the meditation I'm teaching. I've got a real calling to educate, inspire, and share the gifts. My job is to inspire other people's gifts, but to share my own talents. I feel like I've come to a really good understanding, around human behaviour, and I've done a lot of meditation and yoga myself. So it's just a wonderful way to hold space. I love holding space for people and watching people shine. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about just towards the end there of understanding behaviour and really being into meditation yourself. Is that understanding behaviour through, I guess, kind of what you said about the men with masks thing, men without masks, of what they've done in the past, so ways they've acted. Is that kind of through them understanding how they've acted, you can see, this is why they've acted that way, and then by opening up in whatever way you do that through the retreat, helping them act in new ways, kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
I mean, I'm fascinated by the human experience, Shaun, and what it means to be alive, and I suppose I've been asking some big questions for a long time. Who am I? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? And through, these many different modalities of yoga and meditation and other ways of exploring myself, it's given me a safe container for me to explore my inner world. And being able to explore myself in this way has allowed me to understand the patterns of habit or my behaviour from my past. And so it's allowed me to look in the mirror. You know, a lot of our behaviour goes unexamined. So literally by having a heightened sense of awareness and a deeper sense of self, it's given me the capacity to examine my behaviour, because most of my behaviour is automatic. You know, we actually react out certain patterns most of the day, every day. So the things I'm teaching, I'm really just giving people an opportunity to be educated in how to behave, you know, what's really going on. I think there's a massive difference between reacting unconsciously in the world versus responding consciously. And most people are just habituating all day, every day. And they're just in a place where they're just reacting out memorized behaviors instead of, you know, actually being fully present. And because that's where the sweet spot is, you know, when we're present with one another. And when you're in these moments, you're in great possibility. You know, you're in the conscious mind and there's an opportunity to choose. But again, it's an opportunity to evaluate, review these patterns of habit that maybe might be limiting, you know, self-limiting, fearful, you know, and not really best serving my highest potential. So it's a lovely place to certainly take a look at my own behaviour, and then to educate people on, you know, giving them a safe container, i.e. meditation, to examine how they are behaving in the world. Because for me, it is all about how are we acting in the world instead of reacting. How are we acting in the world? How are we behaving? What is your attitude? You know, are you useful to the world? Are you generative? You know, I think we've been conditioned to some degree or other is to just be selfish, you know what I mean? And you know, and to fall into these patterns of consumerism and, you know, and really to be living a life of material gain and things like that. And that's okay, that's got its place. But when we start to maybe feel into the deeper tapestry of things, I think it takes one to really know thyself on multiple levels for you to feel into, you know, what is it that you like to do? What's your purpose? Do you have a vision? How you know, how am I behaving each and every day? And is my behaviour elevating other people? You know, so yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of it is helping people open up and become a better version of themselves in whatever way that means. Like there's not a specific way of this is better than that. It's just this could be better than before.
Absolutely.
Whatever before was. And I wanted to ask, could you give us some examples of the kind of beliefs, like limiting beliefs or limiting actions that tend to crop up, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think you know, we're conditioned by our environment. You know, and for example, you know, the fact that we're born in maybe the UK or in Liverpool, chances are that you know, you're going to be maybe some sort of Catholic. You know, if we're maybe going to talk at the level of religion here, your environment is of a, you know, Catholicism. So that is a belief system, you know, that is imprinted within us. You know, but we do just become a set of beliefs. You know, from the moment we leave our mother's womb up until, you know, where we are sitting in this moment, our environment's basically shaped who we are. And so we have just, you know, it's the storehouse of everything that's ever happened to us, from the, you know, our parents, our schools, our teachers, you know, the things we've read, the books we've, you know, the movies we watched, the music we listened to. It's all just a belief system. You know, so you end up just navigating your life from that reality, and it's actually known as personality. You know, you become a person, you know, and your personality is your personal reality. And so we tend to just see life from our own belief system, and when we can sincerely take a look at it and review it, we can understand that actually it's just a belief system, you know, and anything is actually possible, because most of our belief systems can be very limiting, you know, doubtful, fearful, And it can stop us from really reaching, you know, our potential as humans, you know, each and every day.
Where you say they could be limiting, you mean like things should be this way,
Yeah.
or I should be that way,
Yeah.
and if I'm not, that's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
But like you say, it's a belief system,
Yeah.
meaning a belief isn't necessarily true.
Yeah.
It's just something you think
Yeah.
and hold to be true.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what's true to one person might not be true to another as well. So it's only all relative to our own experience. And I think, you know, they're just these patterns of habit, you know, that we're so ingrained in, you know, exploring each day, that we don't even examine our belief system most of the time. Most people don't even look at it. They're just navigating life on an automatic response.
Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting stuff, you know.
Yeah, and when we're talking about examining your beliefs, I'd assume, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, you yourself probably weren't brought up of that mindset of I should examine my beliefs. You were brought up just like most of us to have certain beliefs.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, through whatever path or journey you went on, you got to this point where you now do examine your beliefs.
Yeah.
And I mentioned before we started, that was something I wanted to get into because of the podcast a couple of weeks back with Beck, where we talked about how she got into yoga, because obviously she wasn't into it. You're not kind of brought up doing yoga. Most of us, like you said, in Liverpool, we're not going to be brought up doing yoga, meditating, but more and more people are getting into it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know how you got from just being your average Scouser to being the kind of yoga teaching, meditation teaching guy you are now.
I think I was always really inquisitive, you know, as a young man, as a young child, you know, really, again, being fascinated about in my own experience, and always tried to see life from other people's perspective, and, you know, thinking, wow, they've got a life and I've got a life, and I wonder how they're seeing this moment and I'm seeing mine. And so there was always a deeper level of trying to understand life, and I was always fascinated by the stars and the cosmos and all that kind of stuff. And I was a tennis coach for a long time, and so I think I had limiting beliefs in a sport environment. You know, even I thought like I was never good enough, you know, things like that. And it's these mantras that are embedded in our psyche, which don't serve us. You know, I'm not good enough, it's my fault, nobody loves me, nobody sees me, all this kind of stuff. And these are just belief systems. So for me, I think it was, I mean, I always liked exploring different things. You know, I used to love going to the gym and really exploring my physical body. And I think there was like a deeper calling that I wasn't sure what it was. And a friend of mine put me into, you know, she said, have you ever meditated? And I mean, we've all heard about meditation, but I'd never even actively explored what it was or what it meant. Yeah. I think there's a massive misconception in the West of what people think it is also. Yeah.
What did you think it was?
Well, I think initially I thought it was about clearing the mind. You know, it's about clearing the mind. You know, it's about that's exactly what I thought it was. That was a belief system. Yeah. And I had an experience really early on, you know, around 2011, where I sincerely just, you know, went inside myself and started to focus on my breath. And I had an experience of thoughtlessness, but I was still aware. And I was like, wow, okay, there's no thought here. It was very still and very peaceful, but I was aware that it was still. Yeah. And I was almost questioning, okay, who is the one aware? So I was really inquisitive, you know, but also from at the level of the outside world. You know, a yoga studio opened up in Liverpool on County Road, Yoga Nation, and it seemed to be the in thing, you know, hot yoga. Everyone was going to this hot yoga centre, and again, having explored my own physical, you know, body, you know, going to the gym and being a tennis player, it was nice to explore other things, you know. And we bumped into a friend, and he just looked great. We said, what have you been doing? He said, I've been going to hot yoga. So that was, you know, it just brought us to a place where we were exploring different things, and I went to hot yoga and very quickly felt at home. You know, you'd be standing in a class, 25 people being guided by, you know, an experienced yoga teacher, you know, the music, the environment, the ambience, the heat. And I just felt like I'd arrived at something which felt what I was looking for, you know, I suppose a spiritual element. And so it tied in with me maybe asking big questions versus, you know, external environments where I was able to explore myself, you know, in these surroundings. And from there, you know, just certainly looking inside, you know, taking a look at my behaviour. I was inspired by human behaviour, but in a sporting environment, you know, being a tennis coach. So I think really starting to take a look at how I was behaving and how I was treating myself and treating other people, it just felt like a natural happening for me. And obviously, you know, Planet Yoga crystallised not long after. I took a journey to Thailand over, you know, for 4 months, and it was just a time to sit quiet and contemplate. And you know, you look back on your life and you think, wow, you know, I've done some good things and maybe I've done some not so good things. But that was just my level of consciousness in them moments, you know, and most of it was probably unaware, you know, a belief system or a pattern of habit that was just playing out. Yeah. And I suppose, you know, we're governed by our outside world of how we should be behaving. You know, well, you're this age now, you should be doing this in your life, and maybe you think about kids now, or are you married now? And that used to trigger me a lot. You know, people like, you know, you should be doing this now, you should be doing that now. And I thought, well, no, nobody really owns me. And so it was taking ownership over my own existence. And so there was always a rebellious nature as well, of like, you know what, actually I'm going to go against the grain, I'm not going to go with the herd, I'm going to forge my own path because I am the master of my own moments. And that was really empowering for me, you know, and that weaves out through the teachings now of the way I present myself, you know, as a teacher in front of other people.
Where you mentioned before that your level of consciousness at that time, as you sort of get into more like meditative and yoga type practices, obviously you find yourself using the kind of terminologies of that.
Yeah.
And so if somebody was to say to you, for example, talking about your level of consciousness before you'd ever meditated, you'd kind of be thinking, what are you on about?
Yeah.
Like, what are these words you're even using?
Yeah.
So for someone who's not in that kind of frame of mind, not really used to that terminology, if you imagine yourself before you ever meditated, how would you explain what that even means?
So maybe I could make this really simple and say consciousness, we could use the term awareness.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, really.
That's what I was thinking as you said it.
This level of awareness.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when I look back in my life, I haven't been so aware than what I am now. Mm-hmm. And when we explore meditation or when we explore yoga, on a deeper level, you're pretty much learning how to train your attention.
Yeah.
You know, because it's concentration. You know, in school, you know, our teachers have said, concentrate, but we were never taught how to do it.
Yeah, what that actually means.
What does it mean? What does it mean to be present? Mm-hmm. You know, what does it mean to focus on what's truly happening in this moment? And so that was just my level of awareness. When I look back, I'd say I was very unaware. So if I was unaware, who was the one running the show? Mm-hmm. And again, it was these patterns of habit, these belief systems, and this personality. You know, we could say it's the subconscious mind, which just, it's on autopilot. There's just patterns of habits each and every day.
Just to get you through the day.
Just to get you through the day, you know, and we tend to, you know, we tend to be, you know, habitual animals, you know what I mean? We like, you know, you do the same thing each day, you know, you get up, you do the same stuff, you're having the same conversations, you're thinking the same things. And so it's when you really become aware of it, you know, but when you are practicing yoga and meditation, you're basically training your awareness. Mm-hmm. So you start to capture when you're lost in thoughts. And by doing that, you're also able to capture the theme of your thoughts. Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't even know they're getting lost in a thought. They don't even know the themes of how they're thinking. And they also don't know that they're not thoughts either. You know, if I'm aware of a thought, then I'm obviously not the thought. Mm. You know, I'm obviously something which is a little bit deeper. So all of these deeper questions, you know, I had, and I started to explore. So my level of awareness was probably not very great. My level of attention, my presence, you know, in my past. And by exploring the, you know, these wonderful tools of being able to literally train attention, then it's like a muscle. You know, it's like going to the gym. I like to call it mental fitness. And we're just training awareness. It's a muscle that you can't see.
Yeah. And
by learning how to train it, that is it's the key. You know, it's the foundation then for you to examine how are you behaving, how is the patterns of your thoughts, and also gives you the opportunity to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I've just become more aware, and what comes with that is how I'm acting in the world. Don't get me wrong, I'm still reacting in the world, but I'm a lot more aware of my reactions. Reactions tend to just happen habitually. And so I'm learning how to try to capture how I'm feeling in the moment and learn how to respond to the circumstance I find myself in.
Yeah.
That is, it's a massive difference between just reacting unconsciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
Because you're pretty much still just fast asleep, playing out some sort of pattern or other in these moments. And I love talking about it, you know, because even conversations like this and anyone tuning in, they might think, wow, okay, yeah, this is interesting stuff. And it might sound quite complex, but it's actually really simple stuff. Yeah. And when we apply it into our lives, life can change immeasurably. You know, like mine honestly has. You know, I feel much different. You know, nowadays it's my mindset has actually changed. I feel like I've really elevated my character. You know, and I'm growing up into the best version of myself. And at the same time, I'm making some skilled choices, you know, around the things that I like to do in my life and the things that maybe don't serve me so much. So the very act of learning how to train awareness can have a profound, you know, effect on how we navigate, you know, our present moments and even moving into our future. You know, how do you want to look? How do you want life to look? You know, do you have a vision? Is there a purpose? And so you start to really align yourself to, and it gives you a sense of wanting to be here.
Yeah, and I guess if you've got those ideas of things you want to create, say something as simple as wanting to move house or change your job, if you've got to do things to make that happen, and if, like you say, you're just waking up, doing the same things every single day, you're not going to get that new thing if you don't change what you're doing to try and get there. Yeah. So, in a sense, like you say, the meditation is a way to break that cycle. Yeah. And like you say, be aware of, okay, rather than waking up, getting dressed, going to work, doing my job, coming home, putting the telly on, going to bed, where can you notice those moments of, I could do something different there? Yeah. I'm not thinking about anything here. Yeah. I'm just going through my daily habits towards whatever they're taking me towards, not the thing I necessarily want. Yeah. And where you talked about meditation being kind of a tool, more of a tool, and when you first heard about it, it was just stillness in your mind. Yeah. So has that changed the sort of definition of what it is now?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'd like to repeat, I think there's a massive misconception in that it's about clearing the mind. And so that means you're trying to get somewhere in the practice. There's actually nowhere to go. And there's also this element of expectation, you know, I want to clear my mind, or I'm trying to stop thoughts. And because that can be really difficult for anyone, especially a new person, you know, exploring the practice, they just end up falling into levels of disappointment. You know, because the mind can't just be cleared, you know, very quickly. And so it's like, well, I've tried meditation, not for me, I can't do it. Yeah. There's actually no good or bad practice. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But meditation, it pretty much just means to be aware. It means to be present. The very essence of the word just means to be aware. But it means to be aware upon what is truly happening in the present moment. You know, so we're in this moment, we're observing what's truly happening, and we're present with one another. So we're actually in a meditative space. So my understanding of meditation and after having explored, many different avenues of the practice, is that it just means to be present. It means to capture your attention. It means to establish your attention, and it means to observe what's truly happening. So most people that actually can be in a meditative space, because they're just present, but not knowing they're being aware, not knowing that they're meditating.
Yeah. Just had some technical difficulties there, but we'll jump back in. We'll ignore the motorbike. What we were at and what I wanted to jump over to was you were talking about being in a meditative state. So obviously me and you are having a conversation right now.
Yeah.
Not particularly thinking about what's going on out in the world, what's going on tomorrow, what went on 3 days ago. It's just we're having a chat.
Yeah.
And that's it. And hopefully everyone listening in is listening. Not maybe driving to work so you can get it done at the same time, but hopefully not trying to do a billion different things, because then you're not really doing any of those things. Yeah. And something that sprung to mind when you were talking about that was, again, back to the podcast I did with Beck, where she was talking about yoga as being sort of like a mini secret meditation, because we live in such a fast world. There's so many things going on, and if you don't keep up, it's the idea that you'll fall behind. And doing something like yoga, meditating, is taking that time to just chill out and to relax. And I kind of realised that if you do take time for yourself, if you do slow down, you won't fall behind.
Yeah.
And again, something that spurred me to thinking about it being such a fast world, like you need to slow down, just chill out, is you see them crop up, these kinds of pictures on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, from time to time, and it's obviously people kind of my age, of this kind of culture, who are wishing that they could be like these other people.
Yeah.
And it's pictures of, the one that I'm thinking of is there's some kind of parade going on through the streets, and there's obviously big crowds of people behind the barriers, and they're all there with the phones out, like looking at the phone to make sure they get the picture. And then in front of them all, it's just this one old lady, just there, just
being present,
leaning on the railing, just watching it happen.
Yeah.
And they say that talk of being present, of being in the moment, it all links into the kind of current buzzword of mindfulness, of being mindful of this moment, being present in this moment. And that's just something that sprang to mind for me. Like older people who didn't live in such a fast world, they almost seem to be able to find it easier to be more meditative. If you go and visit your nan, she'll actually just sit there. And that's it. She'll just sit there. Whereas you've got to be on your phone. You've got to check Snapchat, you've got to check Instagram. When you don't.
I think modern times and high-speed living is, causing us to be really quick and fast in the world. And so we've got to learn how to either, two things is to keep up with it, and to really train ourselves to cope with, the demands of the outside world, but also learn how to create space, for us to settle back into our naturalness, which has a really positive effect on the body. You're either in well-being or non-well-being, and again, most people, we come back to this mental fitness. We're not taught how to train the mind. And you as a PT, and you're helping people how to train their physical body, which can have a positive effect on the mental state. But we're not really taught in society, or especially in the West, what even is the mind and how do we train it? How do we train awareness? And so, three very important parts of the practice of the meditative experience is to notice when you're lost in a thought. Because from the minute you wake up of a morning, awareness tends to drift. It tends to drift into what is known as thinking. So you're in the thoughts, and a lot of the thoughts might be relative to your life. But even to notice the theme of the thought, is it meaningful or is it meaningless? Most people just go into this what's next syndrome. It's like, okay, what have I got next? What have I got tomorrow? What have I got next week? And they're constantly living in the faculty of the future. And they don't even know they're doing it. So with meditation, you're literally training the attention to say, okay, I'm actually now noticing I'm lost in thought. Come back, and you tend to have a point of focus. So you're bringing your awareness back to the present moment, which might be the body or the breath. Two very simple objects of the practice which can help to train the attention. So you notice you're lost in thought, you say, come back here, stay here, and observe it. And it sounds really easy, but it's no easy task.
Yeah.
And so it's literally a mental fitness program where you're training your attention to be present for longer periods of time, and to, you know, observe what's truly happening in them moments. You know, I think we're being constantly distracted now. You know, again, modern times, Facebook, social media, the outside world, it's very, very fast paced. And so we're just constantly being, you know, these carrots are being dangled in front of us all the time, and they just want us to consume. You know, they want to say, you're not good enough. You know, all of these billboards and, you know, all of, advertisements, they're subliminally pumping, you know, fear into us and saying, you're not good enough, you don't look good enough, wear these clothes, you don't smell good enough, wear this perfume, you know, buy this car, get this house. And so we're just chasing things outside of ourselves that are actually, we think that are going to make us happy. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's also, there's a lot of instant gratification now. People just want stuff now. Yeah. We've lost the art of being patient. I think in the West, we've lost the art of how to be sacred. You know, we've lost the art of, you know, authentic connection. I do believe in the technical age, in the digital age, because we're in the age of information. But it's a blessing or a curse. Mm-hmm. It's how you use it. Yeah. You know, I use my phone really wisely. I use social media for the benefits of, you know, my professional and my personal endeavours. But it's the very awareness itself around this stuff which is allowing me to navigate the very things which are in front of me. Yeah. So again, I think we've lost this capacity to be patient, to let things happen. You know, we're pushing too hard, we're competing, we're conditioned to compete. You know, get out there, be first, it's a dog eat dog, no one else is going to do it for you. And their mantras have got their place. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, you know, life's actually coming to us as well. And to allow things to happen, yeah. You know, things are just happening in and around us. And to allow life to happen. So there's a fine line between making things happen and letting things happen. Yeah. And I think a lot of people actually don't let things happen. They don't let things unfold. And it's because of this instant gratification. It's causing a lot of people to be stressed. Mm-hmm. You know, anxiety, depression, you know, suicide. They're all on the rise. And so we have to really take a look at what's really going on here, and what are the tools that we can use to create some space, to chill out and to inevitably relax. The body's in a state of tension when we're overthinking. When we've got no mental fitness, we are lost in thought a lot of the time. And a lot of these thoughts that we're getting lost in can tend to be of a nature of the future and an assumption. We tend to go into the future, we go to the worst case scenario, we play these stories out that actually don't exist.
That's it. You don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And you are the master of your moments, and you can, you know, move in the direction of the things that you value. Mm-hmm. But inevitably we have to let life happen and we have to relax. But we don't know how to do it. And that's why I love the meditation experience, because you're using your own structure to train attention. Yeah. And by training attention, I mean, a lot of other yummy things actually happen in the experience. Because you're training attention and you're becoming focused upon one thing for longer periods of time, you tend to settle the mind. You know, you tend to settle the breath. Mm-hmm. And we go from like a different brain waves. We tend to go from like a high beta brainwave to a low beta brainwave. And the body moves from a state of dis-ease to a place of ease. We go from a place of non-well-being to a place of well-being just by sitting in our very naturalness and training our attention. At the level of the nervous system, we start to enter the parasympathetic nervous system. And all of a sudden, the body's releasing all these, a cocktail of hormones, melatonin, serotonin, oxytocin, which helps the body to regenerate and to work in harmony. The body's always trying to find homeostasis. But because of modern times, this high-speed living, and because we've got no mental fitness, and we've got no patience, and we're not letting things be, we're just causing ourselves to move into a place of tension, you know, and anxiety and stress. And this is why so many people are getting sick nowadays, you know, because the body's becoming sick because there's no mental fitness. That's from my perspective. Yeah. And, you know, having dived into this stuff for quite some time and, you know, following other spiritual leaders, you know, who were incredible scientists as well. You know, there's Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I've been to see a couple of times. You know, there's just, these guys they're linking like spirituality, you know, Eastern philosophy with Western science. Yeah. And it's saying the same thing, you know, they're just using different terminology. Yeah. And so it's really interesting stuff. Basically, the world's not well, Shaun, and you're the medicine. Mm-hmm. You know, we are our own medicine. And when we truly learn how to navigate our internal landscape at the level of the mind, so many amazing things can happen. I honestly can't remember the last time I had a bad day. I've reframed a bad day. Yeah. You know, they're just experiences. There's no good or bad experience, it's just an experience. And I'm not denying the experiences we have, which are elevating and happy, but we also tend to run away from sometimes the experiences which may be challenging or of that nature. And when we just learn how to accept life as it is and make skilled choices around our environments, we tend to move into a space of neutrality. And when we're a lot more neutral, I like to say positively neutral, we tend to be a lot more relaxed. And you tend to, you know, actually rest in peace, but actually being alive. Why do we have to wait to die to rest in peace? Living in peace. Yeah. We're all sort of searching for this freedom, this peace of mind. And through simple training methods of training attention and having small active practices each day, the echoes of the practice alone do carry you through the day. You keep up a meditative practice, you're kept up by the meditative experience. But, you know, in the days then, you notice when you're getting lost in the mind. You notice when you're worrying, or you're making an assumption, or you're in judgment, or you're in fear. You start to notice these things. And by noticing them, you can review them. So you're reviewing your behaviour, and then inevitably you can change them. So again, you're the master of your moments. You know, we've all heard of them sayings, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I'm sorry, but you can. Yeah. Obviously, older people will have a stronger belief system or a real
more
ingrained mindset. But if you sincerely explore the practice and you're willing to be consistent and persistent with it, mm-hmm. and determined, then you get paid. But you also anchor them wonderful attitudes of persistence, vigilance, determination and discipline when you actually practice meditation. So, you know, there's many hallmarks of the practice. And having sincerely explored this practice now for a number of years, I've become better. You know, I'm a better person, I'm more grounded, I'm centered, I'm a lot more present. And I make a lot more skilled choices around you know, my environments. And I'm not just generative to my own experience, but I feel like I'm generative, you know, what I'm sharing to other people. And it's lovely to see other people explore the practice and get so much from it. Yeah. You know, up to date, I've taught quite a number of people now in Liverpool how to navigate the experience, and we've developed this fellowship. And people are starving for it. You know, people are actually looking to develop themselves. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, social media, and nowadays there's a lot of these motivational YouTube clips, and it's great to see and it's great to watch. And so people are wanting to move into a space which are of expressions of positivity, because you know yourself when you just feel positive, you're expressing yourself, and you know, you just feel like you're authentic. Yeah. You feel original, and because we're the only species that tells lies as well. It's fascinating. You know, we're the only species that actually tell lies. And you think, well, where's this coming from? Why do we tell lies? You know. So yeah, very powerful stuff, and I would invite anyone to explore a consistent active practice of meditation, because I know it works. And the beauty of it is it's non-dogmatic, really. It's just mental fitness. It's a mental fitness program.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the beeps is that one going off, because there's no red light on the front. I'm just going to double check.
So far so good.
Yeah, man.
Got some good content
it's
there.
Funny, like listening through them, and everyone sort of feels like, I think there was a bit going on. It's going to run out in a minute anyway.
So did we turn that one back on, did we? Or yeah.
But,
okay, nice.
Low, though.
Need to plug it in, maybe.
Actually got the charger.
Will that one stay on? Will it, that video?
That'll be fine.
Yeah. All good.
Cool. Something I wanted to jump to from when we had the technical difficulties before, and I sort of talked about it when I was talking about the podcast again with Beck, just talking about her sort of journey from just being a girl, goes to school, gets a job, and then gets into this yoga thing, and yourself, just a guy, goes to school, gets a job, and then gets into this meditation thing. A lot of people, you know, if you've never done meditation, if you've never done yoga, you have this kind of vision of, or this sort of perception of what the teachers are, of these like mystical, in touch with the universe beings who are just totally out of reality in a way. And when we had those technical difficulties, we were just having a chat, and this might be completely irrelevant for people listening, but I feel like it's really important because it does just sort of show that you're just a normal person, and so the normal person that's listening to this can also just start meditating,
absolutely,
and start getting those benefits.
Yeah.
So this, like I say, this might just sound a bit weird and useless. Tell us what your plans are for the rest of the day.
So thank you for bringing that up. You know, I think it's really important for any listener to know that meditation's available to anybody. Anyone can meditate. It's a really simple, wonderful practice. And I am just a normal fella. You know, I love Liverpool. I love the city. I love exploring, you know, my life in the city. I've got some great friends. I've got some lovely circles that I float around in. But I'm still eating pizzas, you know, I'm still having a pint, you know, I still like to, you know, watch the footy with me, you know, with the people I love to surround myself with. I love going to the gym and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm just a normal bloke. But through exploring, you know, we could maybe say spirituality here. I mean, what is your perception of spirituality? I'll tell you what it means to me. It means to be authentic, it means to be present, and it means to choose love. And it's that simple for me. And so I can still be eating pizza and having a pint with my mate, watching the footy, and be present with him. You know, and that is spiritual. You know, that there's an energy there, there's an authentic connection between two people, which is, this energy is formless. So it comes from the spiritual realm. And spiritual is just spiritual reality. You know, personality is more of a personal reality. You know, it's more, it's the form, you know, where two characters are expressing themselves and the body is in the moment. But spiritual, it's this formless space. So again, I think people are afraid of spirituality. You know, it might mean, oh, I've got to go meditate in caves, or I need to be doing yoga each day. And again, I'm just a normal fella from Liverpool, and I'm, you know, actually this afternoon I'm going to be going to meet some friends in Liverpool, Duke Street Market, and I have a high value in eating good food in good company, and having a couple of drinks. You know, I'll have a couple of pints this afternoon. And I really enjoy it, but I've learned also to set boundaries around, you know, the likes of alcohol. I've got a lot more reverence for alcohol nowadays, instead of going out and just getting, I don't know, you know, just getting blitzed. You know, just having maybe 2 or 3 drinks, really enjoying how it makes me feel, and having a healthy boundary around it. So, you know, I go home, you know, I've got a family at home, I've got a lovely weekend ahead of me, you know, I'll be spending some time with my daughter. And I'm just doing normal stuff, you know, probably take her swimming over the weekend. But I do have a sacred practice, and that is a morning routine. and it can be different for anybody. You know, it doesn't always have to be of a meditative experience, or it doesn't have to be yoga. You know, people's sacred practice might be going for a run or going to the gym, and that is spiritual. So I think there's a misconception around the word spirituality as well. So it's interesting stuff, yeah, but again, I think that's why also my work is really taking off here in Liverpool, because I'm very relatable. I can relate to people's lives. Yeah. You know, I've lived a very fast-paced life myself. I was a tennis coach for a long time, and just being a scouser, sometimes, you know, you do a bit of ducking and diving, you know, at certain times in my life, and I hold my hand up and I explored other avenues which may have been of a nature of an illegal nature. I've got no shame over that, you know, but it allows me now to hold space for people who are unfolding, for people who have maybe been living a certain life or a certain existence. And I'm open to this stuff, and that's why I'm really busy, because people are coming, and I'm really relatable, and I'm not just like a monk talking in riddles. Yeah. You know, I'm really, you know, I keep it real, and I think it's important. You've got to keep things real. You've got to tell the truth. You've got to get the cards on the table, and explore some vulnerability between you know, two people. And so I just come to this really good place in my life where I've got a good understanding of who I am, what lights me up. I have a vision for the future, but I also am happy with how my moments unfold. And I have a desire to serve other people, you know, because I actually get a really crazy buzz out of watching people in my own backyard elevate, you know, do well, you know, and over the last few years, teaching people yoga, meditation, and exploring other modalities, you know, even some plant medicines, mushroom ceremonies, men's work, you know, it's just it's great to see people grow. It's a part of my work which I'll never get bored of. I'll never get tired of watching, because it's when I'm elevating other people, I'm elevating myself. So there's an element of real self-love in this connection between others. And I think a mantra of mine, what I've always maybe been really good at, is actually bringing people together. It's something I've always done unconsciously. I've had this capacity to bring people together. And I feel like when people come together, and when we're really authentic, great things can happen. And we are stronger when we unite. So yeah, it's just a wonderful time in my life at the minute. I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, I feel like what you're saying about just being a regular fella, and you know, being relatable because of that, because you know, you've done things in the past that people are going to be doing now that maybe they do want to get out of.
Yeah.
I feel like that probably helps with the Remember That Masks thing you do.
Absolutely.
People being able to relate to you through that.
Yeah.
So what is the Remember That Masks? What is that? What's the kind of the goal or the purpose?
So it's to educate men. You know, there's a the suicide rate nowadays is it's around 80% male related, and I've had people in my life, you know, friends and some impersonal friends. You know, I've known a lot of men over the past probably 5 or 6 years who've committed suicide. I've actually only known of one woman who've committed suicide in that time, and probably over 20 men. Wow. You know, and so something's going on here, and there's been times in my life, you know, it hasn't been all rainbows and butterflies. You know, there's been times of darkness and despair, and I think we all contemplate, you know, I contemplated suicide somewhere in my life, and when I really started to dive into my own psyche, I realised that we are conditioned as a society, as men, to behave in a certain way. And this is why the suicide rate is really high of a male nature. And also, it's these mantras of, you know, it's not okay to cry, you know, as a man. It's not okay to show your sensitive side or to be vulnerable. And it is. But we're just, you know, we've been told that if we do that, you know, you're not a man. man up your pussy, and we've all heard their mantras, And so when the work came to me a few years ago, I met an incredible friend of mine who walked into the studio, a guy called Craig White, and he was just an incredible elder, who has done a lot of his own inner work, and he was setting up his own foundation, which is Men Without Masks. And so I was able to dive into the work, and it's just based around education. And there's basically 4 primordial archetypal energies, that like 4 powers that within within us all, and the king, the warrior, magician, the lover. And it's just basically a map. It's a map of understanding of how to really behave, how to step into your potential, how to explore, what comes up in your experience. And it was work which I've held really close to me, and it's a map I use on a daily basis for me to make choices. And so the Men Without Masks retreat, we have now developed a 5-day journey where we take a number of men, around 12 men, on a journey over 5 days. And it's a journey of education, direct experience, where we give them an intellectual understanding, and then they have the direct experience of it. And we also sit in circles and we share. We don't sit in circles in the West. In many indigenous tribes, men, fathers, grandfathers, brothers, uncles, they sat in circles and they shared. And there was a lot of equality there. They shared stories, and they passed on, information down, through to the younger children. And they also have healthy initiations. I think in the West, we don't really sit together as men. I mean, the pubs, the boozers have saved a lot of men's lives. That's where men come together, that's where they congregate. They go to the pub and, they'll have a drink. And I think that a lot of purging goes on in them environments, which has been really healthy for men. But just to actually sit in an environment where, we're sitting in a circle, and we're consciously listening to another man, and we're allowing him to speak, and we're allowing him to purge, we're allowing him to release his guilt and any shame he may have in a safe environment. What happens in them circles stays in them circles, and it can be so nourishing for men. And I've personally witnessed, men share some incredible stories of shame and guilt, and where we create a container for them to cry, or for them to share their story as well. It's not all about, just releasing guilt and shame. It's about learning how to be, a king in the world. And we go on an amazing journey over 5 days, and we explore one energy each day. So we start with the lover. We embody that energy, and we educate. We have direct experience. We have many different things, meditation and yoga, designed around that particular energy. And then we go into the warrior the next day, and then the magician the next day. And again, there's all different things that we explore around that particular energy. And we finish on the king day. And to go on this journey with 12 other men, and to be a part of the circle as well, it's so nourishing. And I'm so grateful that I've come across this particular work. Yeah. And it's now becoming a movement, because there are a lot of men out there who just want to talk. Yeah. They just want to be held. And when you're held by other men in such an authentic way, it's mind blowing. Yeah. It really is. And so when I become a healthy, generative man, then my environments become healthy. And so I'm able to, use these experiences for me to become, a king. And when my kingdom is healthy, then the kingdom around me becomes healthy. The people around me flourish. So it's a great establishment. I'm really proud to be, a part of it. And it's becoming a real movement. And to watch men go on such a short journey over 5 days, but we go through so much. It blows me away.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
really does.
I've sincerely guided I've dived into the work myself,
Yeah.
and then I'm happy to to hold the space and guide other men into the experience. And next year we're running 5 retreats, so it's becoming more and more it's available for men. And I actually do think a lot more people nowadays they are looking for these type of experiences.
Yeah.
Where we can really be elevated. I think we're all longing to belong. We're longing to belong to something, and when we feel into authentic connections with others, there's an element of abundance on the inside, which is so healthy. I think in the West, or even in Liverpool, there's a lot of great men here, but there's also a lot of wounded men, and they haven't maybe had a healthy initiation into manhood. They look like men on the outside, but inside they're really they're actually still navigating life from a psyche of a boy. And what comes with that, can be, violence, abuse, no direction, no purpose, and bullying, and manipulation and stuff like that. And anyone listening to this, if you're a man and you really resonate with what we're talking about here, there are mediums and modalities that you can feel into to really guide you into a place of neutrality, for you to come home to a space within yourself through education and direct experience, which can help you to be a highly functioning individual and a truly authentic man in the world. And I've now, through diving into the work, I'm just demonstrating them qualities, and so there are other men around me that see that light and see the qualities that I'm really sharing in the world from a place of originality. And it's and when you're swimming in these directions, people want to swim in the same direction.
Yeah.
So it's like we're moving in the right direction together. So yeah, it's good work, and I hold it really close to me. And I'd love to, in the future, I'd love to get into the schooling system.
Yeah.
And possibly have this as some sort of syllabus for young boys to learn. It's okay for little girls to cry, but it's not okay for little boys to cry. And it's things like that which starts to create.
Starts so soon.
It starts very soon, and so you're just suppressing the capacity to express yourself.
Yeah.
As a boy, and that rage comes out much later in life. And that feeling of loss. And again, this is why the suicide rates are so high, male related. So yeah, I think small steps. We do what we do, and I think over a period of time it will become something. Especially in Liverpool, with my own vision, I think I will make it happen. It will organically happen somewhere down the line. But I can't do it alone. I need other people around me. I'm only as good as the people around me. I need generative men and women, and a fellowship of people where we're moving in the same direction together. We have the same ethos.
Yeah.
And but it's exciting because what I am creating in Liverpool, I do feel like I am creating a movement, and it's of a nature of positivity, and it's a nature of love and authenticity, and it's original, and people are ready for it. Just even last night, we did a night walk up Movama, for a charitable foundation called Men Matter. Another charitable foundation that I hold really close to me. A friend of mine called Brian Kelly, who's set that charity. He set that charity up, and last night, I called it last week, and I've got 33 people all walking up Movama last night. Raising money. And it was just a great experience. What else are we doing on a Thursday night? And bringing these people together and walking up together and really supporting one another. It's incredible to see. It's amazing to be a part of. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. For anyone who's listening, who's listened to what that retreat's about and is you said, if something's resonating with anyone, have you got any kind of details on when the next retreat might be or anything like
absolutely.
that?
So, I mean, obviously, we're all using social media nowadays, so it's just men without masks. Even if you Google men without masks, then, it will come up the information. We have an Instagram account, men without masks, so follow us, and check us out. And all the information's there. We've got, on some of the posts we've sent out, there's 5 retreats that we've already put out for next year. So any man who's interested in this particular work and really interested in investing in themselves, then this is work again I know works, and I hold it really close to me. And I've had the direct experience myself. I don't teach anything that I haven't had direct experience of. I don't regurgitate stuff. I really do teach the things that I've dived into myself, and that allows me to become a better teacher.
Yeah. We talked a lot about the sort of like meditative practices of just daily life, just going about your day, and it could be sitting on the bus and just observing the world as it goes by, rather than being engrossed in your Instagram feed, for example. Or it might be that you actually do some kind of guided meditation as you're on your bus ride. And in a class, for example, so you do like meditation classes, what's the kind of process of that? Like, how would you guide someone through meditation?
So what happens is that we pretty much talk about what we're going to explore. And each and every week we have a technique. So we'll talk about the technique, I'll map it out for them. So for example, on week 1 in the meditation course that I offer, the technique is the body itself. So we learn how to observe the body. So the body is always in the present moment reality. So when we get lost in the thought or lost in minds, we notice we're lost in a thought, and we just bring our attention back to the body. And we're observing what's truly happening at the level of the body. And by doing that, you learn how to commit to the stillness of the body, because there's a relationship between body stillness and inner stillness. But also you cultivate many attitudes and behaviours just by committing to body stillness, your determination, persistence. So when you get lost in the mind, you're coming back. So we talk about what we're going to explore in the session, and then we have direct exploration of it. And people go home then, and it's like a bit of homework. It's like, okay, I'd like you to meditate every day for 10 minutes with this particular technique. So when they come back, it's like, okay, I've had 7 days of practice, once, twice a day maybe. And I'm only asking people to practice for 10 minutes. Actively 10 minutes a day. So you come back, they've had 7 days of practice, and then we go deeper. So we offer a new technique. It's like putting in second gear. So you put it in first gear first, you're always checking with the body, you have second gear, and that might be the breath. So now we're observing the breath. The breath is always there, it's always constant, so it's a great point of focus for us to train attention. And we're talking, there's a lot more in the courses. We're talking about human behaviour, we're talking about what is a reaction, we're talking about how to create space, we're talking how to consciously respond in the world, stuff like that, but we're always relating it to the meditation experience. And after the 5-week process, we've spoke a lot about life, about circumstances that unfold in our life and how to respond in them moments. But at the end of the course, I'm completely confident that we've built a structure of how to actually engage in the meditative practice itself. And so people then have a meditation, a solid, simple active practice that they can go and explore without any guidance. So, I'm guiding people to the practice does the rest. So I'm not just guiding people into a meditative space, I'm actually teaching people how to do it properly. And again, after the 10-hour process and the 40-day process it takes, for the course to unfold, they've built a healthy habit. They've, navigated, they now have a great understanding.
After the 40 days, they've built a healthy habit.
They've built a healthy habit. They've explored the practice, and they've built a structure, of how to train attention. So when you're wandering in your day, you're learning how to bring the attention back. Even, you know, you might be in work, you might be wandering, and you think, I'm wandering in the mind. What's the theme of the mind? What's the theme of the thought? So I'm not denying the power of thoughts here, and we can use the mind to our advantage. The thought might be meaningful, it might be creative, it might be relative to your experience in your life. So then you use them thoughts to and act upon them. But you notice also then when you're in worry, when you're stressing out, when you're making an assumption, you know, when you're in fear. And so there's many benefits to the practice, and that's why I take people on that journey. It's a 5-week process. It's a 10-hour process. And a lot of that 10-hour process is a wide perspective on meditation. We're diving into human behaviour. And it's a lot of my personal experiences, you know, over a period of 8 to 10 years in a 10-hour process. I've called it a course for life. Yeah. And I've got no doubt if people really stick to the techniques and they're present within, you know, the classroom, change is inevitable. You know, I get messages daily, you know, from people whose lives are just unfolding in such a beautiful way, because they're just diving into the practice. And because the power's in the practice, you see. I just take people to the practice. But I also give people a really good understanding, you know, of the mind and how to use it to your advantage. And it's all simple stuff. You know, there's nothing in the classes that is really difficult to understand. It's all really simple stuff, really easy to navigate and digest. And we just have a laugh as well. You know, it's a part of the practice where we're just buzzing off it. You know what I mean? You know, we have some shares each week, and we're feeding off the shares, and it's very informal. Yeah. And I love it. I love doing it. You know, I love going to work. It doesn't even feel like work to me. You know, we're just sitting in a room, we're talking about life. We've got a couple of techniques. Yeah. It's that simple, but the profundity of these experiences, they can change the course of someone's life.
Yeah. I like to, where I can, give podcast listeners something actionable to go away with. So, like in recent ones, we were talking about, you know, like your social events. It was helping you think about those differently, do a little exercise. So, for example, with the kind of, you know, like techniques that we're talking about, it's like your level 1 or your first gear, you know, technique. If someone's listening, do you think it makes sense to almost kind of like go through one of those? Like
absolutely. There's many courses that I run. You know, I tend to just run back to back them now. You know, I'm really busy, and it's something I really love to do. It's a high value of mine. So anyone who's tuning in, it's like, yeah, get in touch. You know, I run 3 courses, you know, here in Liverpool. I also, you know, I teach yoga and Planet Yoga, and you know, we run 20 classes a week here. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a Planet Yoga. There's 8, 9 of the yoga studios, you know, in Liverpool. I'm not saying yoga's the answer here, you know, but it's an opportunity to take a look at some of your stuff in a really safe environment, but having fun doing it as well. And there's many things on, you know, on the internet nowadays with guided meditations. There's loads of apps. I'm actually developing an app myself at the moment. I've called it Scouse Guru, and it's all my work, but it's going on audio. Yeah. And for a very small monthly subscription, people will have access to all of this stuff. Tutorials, guided meditations. I'm going to be doing my own podcasts. So I just invite people to dive in. You've got to say yes to this stuff. You know, we are a nation we've become suspicious and sceptical. And because we've got no mental fitness, we tend to there's a part of the mind, the negative part of the mind, when it's out of balance, it stops us from stepping outside of our comfort zones. It stops us from saying yes to the world. And that moment you actually say, you know what, I'm going to try that. Yeah, I've never done it before, but I'm going to give that a go. You get paid with that attitude. There's a lot of people just tend to judge things without even ever trying them. That's not for me. I'm no good, you know, well, it's not for me, it's not, you know, it's no good. And it's just the negative part of the mind, just it's actually trying to protect you. But you've got to dip your toe into these things, you know, you really have, and the growth is when you step outside your comforts. It's okay to sit in some comfort zones now and then, but don't stagnate in them places. If you really have an inspiration to step into your potentiality, your pure potential, and become the best version of yourself, it's got to become uncomfortable, and you learn how to rest in them uncomfortable spaces. You become comfortable in them. So yeah, I just invite anyone to do something different as well. It might not be meditation, it might not be yoga, it might be going to the gym, it might be going for a walk. Do things outside of your habitual patterns and create new healthy habits. I see it as a self-maintenance program. I have almost 2 hours every morning of some sort of program which actually helps me to be the best version of myself. It's only 10% of my day that. But when I'm looking after them, that 10%, the rest of the day gets looked after. So I'm real advocate of a morning practice, whether that's going to the gym, having a run, having a swim, getting up out of bed, maybe having a read, doing some meditation, doing a bit of yoga, whatever it is. And most of the time we don't want to do it, we want to press the snooze button and roll over. It's the easy option, and if you keep choosing the easy option, then there'll never be any growth, you know what I mean? And that's okay. Some people like sitting in the comfort zone, and good luck to you. But from my perspective, you're nowhere near touching your potential. So yeah, it's any meditative practice, any sacred practice where there's a commitment, then go for it.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing what your morning routine is?
No, not at all.
Help someone else think, I could do that.
Yeah, so I rise at 6 a.m. every morning. And I tend to do around 10 minutes of a breathwork session. So it's known as pranayama. And that might just consist of some long deep breathing, or some heavy, hyperventilation in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I do that every day for around 10 minutes. There's other breathwork techniques I explore also, which really help to oxygenate the body, fire up the left and right hemispheres of the brain, just to really and switch on the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which, if acute stress is very good for the body. It's only chronic stress which isn't very good for the body. So I'm switching on the nervous system. I'm getting ready for my day. It's like having a coffee, but it's a natural stimulant. I tend to meditate for 10 minutes. So I do maybe 5-10 minutes breath work. I'll do 5 or 10 minutes meditation. And I've got a really strong meditative practice, but I only practice actively for 10 minutes in the morning. And then I go straight to the gym after that. I'm in the gym by 6:30. I'm lucky enough that I live 5 minutes away from the gym. So I'm in the gym by 6:30. I tend to do 45 minutes, no more. I tend to maybe explore a row or a run, only for 10 minutes, but quite high pace. And then I just do some weights. I'm a big believer in, really engaging the body, resistance. So I do some weights. I don't kill myself anymore. I used to really do some heavy work in the gym, and it's more of a maintenance, so I tend to just explore 60-70% of my capabilities, but I'm doing that 4 or 5 times a week. So I feel like I've got a constant pump, I'm really, and it's just great. I tend to jump in the steam or the sauna around 7:15. Again, I have another little meditation in there, just have 5 minutes, close the eyes, just feel into my internal space, maybe just watch the breath. And then I'll take a cold shower after that, take a freezing cold shower. There's many healthy benefits to taking a cold shower. Yeah. So I'll take a freezing cold shower, and I'm literally done by 7:30. I tend to maybe go upstairs, do a little bit of admin, a little bit of work for 10-15 minutes. And I'm home around 8:15. So from 6 to 8, that's my morning routine, Monday to Thursday, every week. Sometimes on a Friday also. I teach yoga on a Friday morning, so I don't tend to maybe have a workout on a Friday. I teach yoga, but the morning routine is still there. I'm still getting up, still doing breath work. And then the weekend tends to change a little bit. The morning routine, I give myself a pass out. I'll have a lie-in on a weekend. I go out for breakfast. I play with the baby a lot more, whatever. So it tends to be more Monday to Friday. Weekends a bit more of a pass out, a bit more relaxed. I used to be 7 days with that routine, but it's nice to just allow some freedom and spontaneity, and you know, it's nice to lie in as well.
Yeah.
But I feel this self-maintenance program has saved me. I've been meditating now daily for a number of years, solidly for 3 years. But this sort of self-maintenance program of going to the gym, taking a cold shower, doing some breath work, and maybe even listening to an inspirational, motivational video over the morning, it puts me on the front foot. Yeah. You know, I'm creating a healthy momentum for the day. I can't remember the last time I had a bad day.
Yeah, brilliant. There's so much you've gone over there. That's just, I can't wait for people to hear. And like, you know, the Men Without Mask stuff, that's brilliant. Yeah. Like, I am fully intending to do one of them, whatever the next one is. And you know, if I could go on and get involved with that, like, because it sounds like you said, something that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I can't wait for people to get to hear all this.
Lovely.
But we'll probably need to start wrapping up a little bit now, so I'm going to get back to the gym.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. It's been awesome.
It's been amazing.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the Scouts Guru comes up with the app on that. That sounds quite cool. Something to finish off with that I just did last week with Georgina that I thought, you know, I'm going to start doing that because a great first answer came out. Is just one final question, just to wrap it all up. But actually, before we get into that, because I'd love for as many people as possible to find you, to get in touch with you, just let the listeners know where they can find you, you know, Instagram handle, what to search for online, all of that.
Okay, so I have got an Instagram account and it's just Martin Bone Meditation. So yeah, again, it's Facebook, Martin Bone, MartinBone. And I've got a website, so it's www.martinbonemeditation.com. But these are the channels people can reach me on. Also with the likes of Planet Yoga, you know, it's just Planet Yoga Liverpool. You'll check the studio out. And once people sort of get in touch with me and you know, we make a connection, then things just tend to filter out from there, you know, the work I offer. And there's so many other things that unfold as well. I bring people together. There's workshops, there's events, there's musical events that we do here at Planet. So there's all great stuff for the community, bringing people together. So these are the channels that I operate in. Yeah, and I look forward to meet. I love meeting new people. I love making new friends, and I love watching people shine. So it's been a pleasure to record the podcast, and it's been a pleasure to meet yourself, Shaun. And I'm looking forward to the future.
All right, brilliant. So one final question then. If you could have a billboard and you could put whatever you wanted on it, and even you could put it wherever you wanted, so hundreds, thousands of people would see it, what would you put on that billboard?
Good question. Off the top of my head, and what I'm feeling into my heart space here is tell the truth. Tell the truth. I don't think enough of us tell the truth, or we don't speak our own truth. And it's really powerful when we speak our truth. And what's true to me might not be true to you. But I think we beat around the bush a lot of the time, and we're afraid of telling the truth. And sometimes the truth really hurts, it stings, you know. But sometimes you have to speak your truth. So I think that would be certainly one statement I would put up is tell the truth. And then the little caveat at the bottom, scoutsguru.com.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I think it's a powerful thing when we really start to speak our truth, and it's an element of how I've stepped up as a person, you know, and engaging in my own truth. But I also really have a deep respect for other people's truth, because what's true to somebody else might not be true to me, but there's a deeper understanding, you know, around truth nowadays, and it's all relative to our own experience. So it's a great question, and the answer is to tell the truth.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Cool. Once again, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
See you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Thanks once, Shaun.
Yes.
Deep shit, right?
I don't know what your highlights or little nuggets were from this episode, but I absolutely loved hearing about men without masks. The whole philosophy of it, the mission of it, the stuff Martin pointed out about how as men we don't tend to have that kind of round table, open space with other men anymore. Whatever your highlights were, let me know in the comments so that I can make a little clip to share online so that someone else might get a little light bulb moment from it as well. Now, it's time to get to work. Time to take action. If you're not meditating already, I want to invite you to download the Headspace app and do their first 10 days. I really like the way they explain what meditation is and ease you into it. After that, explore and just find what you like. I actually tend to use the breathe function of a different app called Calm to guide my daily meditation. Just get started and then find what works for you. And if you are meditating already, I want to invite you to invite someone else to join you. You already know it's beneficial. And if you've got a friend who might like it, invite them to meditate with you. If you use an app too, just sit yourselves down, turn it on, and put it on the floor between you. Your friend might feel a bit weird at first, but you probably did as well. And when they inevitably open their eyes to check that you're still there and that they're doing it right, they'll see you there in the zone, and that'll give them that little extra sense of security to let themselves ease into it too. So if you're not meditating, use the Headspace app to get started. And if you are, invite a friend to join you. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and if you did, I would love it if you could leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That's how other people discover the podcast, because then Apple will recommend it to them. If you're watching on Facebook, drop a like and share it with your friends. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you see all the future episodes and my new series I've been brewing ideas for that I'm really excited about. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.